Hey everybody, we are live. We're back here for yet another live Q&A with everyone's favorite video host and aquatics enthusiast, Thomas.
How's it going?
How you doing, man?
I'm not doing great. I'm a little nauseous today. I've got something going on with my ear, and I feel a little funny. But you know what? I did not forget to bring Brian's donuts.
The guy brought me donuts again, guys. You know what? This is all thanks to you guys. I couldn't have done this without you guys. Now every 2 weeks when he comes, I'm getting a box full of donuts. Yes. Look at that. That looks pretty good.
It's quite effective what you've done, Brian, because now I actually feel like I will get shamed if I don't bring you donuts.
Oh, you will. Oh, you know, we will. It'll be a mutiny here, and we will essentially exile you from the channel. So we got donuts to snack on while we stream here. We wish we could share them with you guys. Unfortunately, no can do. Otherwise, I would. These are just for me and you today.
One day we'll be able to 3D print food, and we can put like the pattern of each donut.
Yeah.
In a link, and then you can 3D print your donut. I don't know. Or we could Star Trek TNG that and just like it just gets made. Computer donut.
We'd have to up our budget considerably, but we will think about it. All right, guys, let's get into this. Before we start with the questions, which we have a ton of already, so awesome. We want to make sure you guys hit that like button because that always helps us. We want to make sure you share all our stuff. For those of you who may not have joined us recently, we do have an ambitious goal for this year. We want to hit 100,000 subscribers this year. We're on track to do it regardless, but we want to expedite that process, and we need your help to do that.
Yeah. The sooner we hit it, the sooner we can have our giveaway that we've been planning, and it's going to be awesome and lots of fun.
The giveaway, it's like the giveaway, or is it like a giveaway?
It's like
a giveaway.
That kind.
It's a giveaway. It's a big thing we're planning. Thomas is working really hard trying to source some really, really awesome stuff for you guys. It's not just going to be one or two winners. It's going to be hopefully a lot of winners.
A lot.
Yeah. So
tons.
Yeah. So we really need to grow for that to happen. So anything you guys can do to help us out, like I said, sharing our vids and our channel and anything like that would be insanely helpful.
Super helpful.
Yeah, super helpful. So one last thing for those of you who may be joining us for the first time, these Q&As, we like to answer everything that we can. There will be some questions if it's something specific to your individual fish, some very, very specific issue you're having. Give us as much context as possible, and Thomas will do his best, but it's not always possible for him to give you a completely accurate or in-depth answer, so that'll take more support on our end. So we're going to put an email address out there for you to email us that information about that specific issue, and we can hopefully help you out after the stream. Obviously, it would be later in the week, but we would get out there and try and help you with that. Okay, what else? Anything else? A new video out this week, the High Tech Planted Tank Series Episode 2.
Oh, yes.
So I'm going to link that out. It's a fun little vid.
Oh, yes.
What do we do in that one?
We talked a little bit about what filtration I put on the high-tech build, put some fancy hardware on it too.
Yep.
And also heating and a thermometer and stuff. It's pretty straightforward, but it's just another step in the process of getting that high-tech build up and running, and it looks really snazzy. I'm really happy with it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So check out that video. I'll link it for you guys in the chat so you guys can check that out if you haven't already. And another React video coming out next week. I know a lot of people keep commenting and asking, when's the next React video? We're up to like 550 submissions for that.
Jeez,
man. Like new submissions, not ones we've already done. Like these are ones that are waiting to be done. So it's don't worry, you will see yours, but it will take a while. But we have another one coming out next week. So keep your eyes peeled for that. With all of that said, let's jump into the Q&A.
Sounds good.
All right, guys, let's see what you have for us today. Okay, there's some left before the stream started, like well before the stream started. I have got some of them here, so I'll try and get as many as I can. I've got an 18-gallon tank with some blood parrots, about 1 year old now. They used to be very active, but recently all they do is stay in one place and only move when I feed them. Is it normal for them to become inactive like that as they grow older?
No. What's probably happening if you have two blood parrots in an 18-gallon tank is they are extremely cramped, especially for a year. They need a bigger tank. That's it. They just need a bigger tank. I would probably put a pair of blood parrots in something like a 60-gallon. They'd be a lot more comfortable. Even a 55-gallon would be a lot better. ultimately they can get fairly sizable. And if they don't have enough space, they get lethargic, they get stunted in their growth. They don't stop growing, it's just it really affects the way they grow. It's not good for them. So I would upgrade as soon as you can, and you'd probably see a lot more life come back into your cichlids there.
Okay. Next up, hi guys, from Made.
Yay!
Yeah, of course she's here. Hi guys, my plants are turning brownish and starting to die off.
Yuck!
New leaves are starting to come up though. I have plant-based substrate, LED lights that are specifically for plants. Lights are on 6 to 7 hours per day. I also have a fertilizer that I put in the substrate near the roots of the plants, but they still die. It's the sword plants that are most affected. I do 25% water change once a week. What could be wrong? Please note that my question is in 3 different comments. We nailed it, so don't worry.
Swords, okay, so one thing swords are notorious for is needing a ton of iron. I believe there are iron test kits you can get to check to see if your water has enough iron in them for the swords. I mean, that usually results in the yellowing of leaves for sword plants, if I'm not mistaken, and can eventually lead to the leaf just going brown, dying, and falling off, and then they send up new growth. Anytime a plant's struggling, in my experience, struggling to survive, they'll lose older leaves to whatever malady it is, and they immediately try to replace them with new growth because they have to. They're trying to support their growth and their existence, and in order to continue to metabolize at whatever rate they've been metabolizing at, they have to replace that leaf. So the other thing you might want to do is just look at a general purpose liquid fertilizer to kind of round everything out. But there are a lot. If you Google Google image search for aquatic plant ailments or aquatic plant leaves problems, you'll get a lot of different images that show what the different deficiencies will show up like. So magnesium deficiency, potassium deficiency, iron deficiency, nitrogen deficiency, phosphorus deficiency, and it'll show you what they look like. So you can kind of pinpoint what is actually happening and then correct it directly if you want to use a specific fertilizer to try to correct that exact problem. But yeah, that's where I would start. I know your system because I've seen it pretty intimately. So I think we should just look at a little bit of fertilization and see where things may be falling off. So yeah, check out the leaf image that I'm talking about. Like I said, when you Google it, you'll find it, and see what it's closest to, and then you can either let me know on the next stream or even email us. Brian will send you the email. If you email us, if you tell them in the subject that this is for Thomas, they'll just send it directly to me anyways.
Dangerous territory you're setting up there.
I know. I said it last time. I'll just say it again. Forget it.
All right, fair enough. So just a quick side note there. You did see Made's setup.
Yes.
Because we gave away just before we had a Christmas giveaway type thing or a holiday type giveaway thing. She won a 20-minute more or less one-on-one Skype call with Thomas himself, the fish god.
Oh, jeez.
She got to have a 20-minute chat with him. She showed him all her tanks one-on-one. He got to give her one-on-one advice, tips, tricks, all that. A nice little personal, intimate conversation. And just as a note for that 100K giveaway that we talked about, that's going to be a thing. We're going to give away a few of those.
Some more.
Yeah, we have more of those. So if you guys are interested in having this guy see your personal aquariums one-on-one with you in real time and give you tips and talk one-on-one with you, again, maybe more reason for you guys to share our channel on Reddit, Facebook, wherever, and get us that 100K goal sooner.
Yes.
Okay, next up. My guppies in a 10-gallon tank with no problems in water parameters have blood red gills, but they seem fine and active and eating properly. Any idea what is happening?
Gills are often, like the actual gills themselves rather than the gill plates, gills are often red because they're full of oxygen-rich blood. So they're supposed to be bright red. What becomes an issue is if the gill plates and around the gills, the actual flesh starts to become red. And that can often just be irritation from something like ammonia in the water. So I don't know what you're testing for, but if you've tested for everything and ammonia is also in check, it's possible it's nothing. But if you have noticed that it's just developed randomly, then it's something you might want to look into further. I can't rightly say without seeing the guppies or getting some more information from you. So what I would suggest is hit up our support team, send that information to them. All the tests you've done, what those tests came out to, the complete setup. You can send us a picture of the whole aquarium and then of the actual fish close up and how they're affected, and we can do our best to get your point in the right direction.
Context is key, so I've actually just dropped that in the chat, the email for the further support. So if you need it, definitely reach out to us there. Next up, from John B., who's another regular and a key proponent of Donuts for Brian, by the way, I will say.
John B., it is your fault.
Played a big role. He's in my corner, so thanks for that. Okay, next up. Hey, guys, do you have any suggestions on how to fix a swim bladder? One of my fish is swimming all erratic and upside down. Any remedies for that?
Depending on the kind of fish it is, like, for instance, for goldfish, one thing that people often recommend for swim bladders, feeding them peas. Like, actual just peas, green peas. Boiled, I think. Potentially, so they're nice and soft and squishy and go in quick. The other thing is, if it's really bad, and I can't recommend that you do this because it should be done by somebody who knows what they're doing, but you can aspirate aspirate. I think that's what it's called. Anyways, you stick a needle into the swim bladder to allow the gas that is in there to come out. Again, can't really recommend you do that on your own. What I would suggest is try to find a vet or somebody local who can help you with that, who has a lot of experience in doing that kind of thing. But yeah, swim bladders, it changes depending on what kind of fish it is, really what kind of recourse you can go through to fix it. I think some swim bladder issues can be bacterial. I don't have a better answer than that, but our support team can definitely help you out. I gotta say, like, we have an amazing support team in terms of people who deal with fish medication, fish ailments, and they do it on a daily basis. They're super proficient with it, and they're the staff of our fish rooms, like the fish room managers and the staff there that carry that kind of stuff out. And you can reach them via email by sending it to our support team. It'll get sent off to them, and they can help you out with it. I'm admittedly not my forte. I have luckily not had to treat many fish for much of anything. It's been very, very sparse for me, so I don't have a ton of practical experience with this, so I don't like giving too much advice. But they have a ton, so yeah, we can definitely help you out.
Fantastic. Okay, recently started a new tank, added some neon tetras and tiger barbs, but my ghost shark, black rainbow, white fins, is now extremely territorial and chased everyone. Why is that?
Because they are a territorial fish.
Just the way they are, huh? It's their nature. Okay.
Unfortunately, they are not the friendliest. And if that behavior does not stop, your only option is to rehome that fish and just not get another one.
All right.
I wish I had better. Every time somebody tells me that they have like a shark that's behaving like that, I wish I had a better answer.
Well, that is the answer, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, but the fact of the matter is, it's a very aggressive fish. Yeah. And it's just not. And unfortunately, a lot of stores, they don't tell you that. And they may be like, it might get aggressive, and they play it down. But they are just often get nasty at some point. Maybe not right away. It's usually when they get a little bit older. Probably when they hit maturity. Then they just go nuts.
He also says, my Asian RTC ate one of my plecos. Looks like I have to give him his own tank now, and he barely reached 5 inches. Didn't think they would grow that fast.
They grow insanely fast. Insanely fast. They are a mouth with a tiny like body. Just a giant head and a body. And they eat everything quickly. And they grow fast. This is one thing I will say. In general, if a fish gets very, very large, but their babies are very, very small, when they go from like baby to maturity pretty quickly, because they have such a long way to go between, tiny, tiny and big, big, that, if the average fish is going to reach like maturity and relatively full size within a year, and then, over the next 10 years get gargantuan, then it's like, it doesn't matter if it's a fish that's going to get 6 inches long and starts off at, 3 millimeters, or if it's a fish that starts off at, most fish start off super small, like 3 millimeters, and is going to get 3 feet long. If it's going to get 3 or 4 feet long, it's going to get 1 foot like that. So yeah, keep that in mind when you're buying fish that grow huge. It's going to happen quick.
Which shrimp would you recommend for a brackish water aquarium with swordtails, mollies, and guppies?
Or maybe ghost shrimp, possibly. I don't know. I've never kept shrimp that are brackish. Like that I know would do well brackish. I've never tried to keep shrimp in a brackish tank. That's something that I now have to research. So there you go.
Now this question, bit of a touchy one.
Okay.
It's a very opinionated, but I'm going to ask you anyway. I figure it's worth a shot.
Sure.
He asks, what's your point of view on this? Some people say the hobby is essentially conversation and keeps species alive. Others would say it's in danger. What did I say?
Conversation.
Well, like this, for instance, is a conversation. Anyway, it's my glasses. I should have worn my contacts. I knew it. All right, so conservation. Okay, anyway, others would say it's in danger because of the hobby. What's your point of view on this?
Okay. There's a couple of things. This is really tough. Do I think that the hobby is detrimental to wild fish populations? In some cases, yes. Do I think the hobby acts as a source of conservation? In some cases, yes. I think the hobby can be, and ultimately, at the end of the day, is ultimately sustainable. Most of the species that we're keeping in our aquariums these days, the most common fish that you see are captive bred. Even the ones that were thought to be almost impossible to captive breed are starting to be captive bred. That goes for a lot of saltwater fish. Although tons and tons of fish are still being collected because we haven't been able to breed them in captivity. The thing is, whether or not the collection of those fish is sustainable for the numbers that are being collected. And what I would have to argue is that there are institutions in place to monitor the well-being of those natural habitats those fish come from and the populations of those fish in those areas, and if they're still in healthy numbers. And if they're not in healthy numbers, it is that organization's job to police the amount of collection that happens on that species. And that happens. That is already happening. And unless that is being circumvented in some way, which sometimes poaching does happen, that's the only instance in which I can see it becoming detrimental for those fish. In terms of conservation, there are species of coral. For instance, there's a fluorescent green Nephthia coral, Kenya tree coral, I believe. Anyways, Plaunephthia, that's it. That was essentially extinct in the wild and was only available still because it was being so readily propagated in captivity, in home aquariums. So that right there is a good way to show that we can actually conserve things that are going extinct in the wild by providing them proper care in captivity. So that can happen, and it does. But I think at the end of the day, we can't just say what we do is conservation or what we do is detrimental. I think it's a space in between, and it really depends on the species we're talking about and what aquarium. Like, not every aquarium person out there or person who buys an aquarium is going to stick with it. Not every person who buys an aquarium is going to have their fish thrive. It's, that's my goal, is to help everybody who does get involved in aquariums to stick with it, enjoy it, and have success. That's why I do what I do. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, that's not always the case. So we can't say that those instances in any way, shape, or form are conservation. If anything, detrimental, right? If you have fish die on you, that's not great. Sometimes it's just lack of knowledge, and we have to learn. It's a learning process, but it's somewhere in the middle. People like to pick sides. I think it's one of the most fun. I am a fence sitter sometimes. I will sit right on the middle of that fence till my butt gets sore. But yeah, I think it's somewhere in the middle. I would love to believe that it's mostly conservation, and I think the way things are going, it will just progress to be that way. Especially with the way the oceans are going right now, and with the warming of the corals habitat and their inevitable decline because of it, like ocean acidification. Lots of things are happening that is causing destruction to coral reefs. If a lot of those corals are fragged and collected and farmed in different parts of the world where those corals would be more comfortable currently because of temperatures, or in our home aquariums, I see that as a huge positive. A lot of us out there have tons of success with corals at this point. I'm going on and on and on. I don't want to drone on with this too much, but yeah, I think we're headed in the right direction. And the more scrutiny the hobby is under, all it can do is improve how we as aquarists approach the hobby. That's it. It can make us more responsible. I know a lot of people are like, don't tell me what I can and can't keep. No, that it needs to happen sometimes. Anyways, let's go.
Good one. All right. Hey, Brian and Thomas, I finally started up my own little 3-gallon nano planted with planted substrate.
Yay!
Now I'm having algae issues.
Yay!
Any tips other than reduce light? First planted tank.
Planted tanks can be a little bit tough. Usually they're a nutrient-rich, aquarium with a lot of light, and that just is like perfect propagation ground for algae. It happens. So what you have to figure out is what is out of balance that is making your plants not capable of outcompeting the algae. So there's a few things that can do that. Basically, you can either have too much nutrients and not enough light. You could have not enough nutrients and too much light. You could have enough nutrients, enough light, and not enough CO2. And you could have enough CO2, enough light, not enough nutrients. Any one of those three things being out of balance will affect how well a plant is going to be able to metabolize and photosynthesize and pull all those nutrients out of the system. And if they're unable to photosynthesize effectively, algae is in every situation going to be able to do it better than them. So figure out what the weakest link is and try to improve that. So you can get like a CO2 drop checker and see if you have enough CO2 in the system for the amount of light and nutrients that you're putting in. If you have very, very low CO2, but you've got relatively high lighting and you're fertilizing, you're going to get algae like crazy. It is like the most common low-tech issue you're going to have is you've put too much light and too much nutrients and you have no CO2, real CO2 going into the system, and the plants just can't deal with it. I mean, even with the low-tech tank I have, even I ran into that issue, and it was funny. I was telling Brian, one of my kids was downstairs in my studio, and I left the remote where they could reach it, and they turned the light up to max. I had it turned down to less than halfway to reach 40 par, and they had turned it up full, and it was like 80 or something.
But it's nice to know they're interested in aquariums. Like they're going to follow in your footsteps by all
I don't fault
accounts.
them. The way it works when you have kids is if anything goes wrong, it's your fault because you left it where they could find it.
You made it possible.
Exactly. You as the adult who's supposed to control the situation and the environment, let it get out of hand. So anyways, I ended up with a ton of green algae everywhere. And I was like, what the heck's going on? I grabbed the par meter and I checked and I realized the light was at 100%. Anyways, long story short, something is off. And if you figure out what it is, you can rectify it. And that should help stop the algae from coming back. But your best bet right now is manual removal and having some sort of cleanup crew to kind of get it out. If it's just green film algae, like you could use snails for that pretty effectively and then throw an assassin snail in after to keep them under control. That's what I did.
And it worked.
It did. That assassin snail like totally cleaned up that population. I still have them. But there's not in enough numbers, to do any damage at all. They just eat algae now.
He did his job.
Yep.
Awesome. Next up, good morning, Brian and Thomas. Hey.
Hi-yo.
I have 13 parrotfish,
Wow.
6 platinum parrots, 4 blue polar convict parrots, and 3 blood parrots. Is a 125-gallon tank enough for the parrots I have?
Just about, maybe. That's a lot of parrotfish at full size, 125 gallons. It's probably pushing it. But you got a while. You got a ways to go.
Okay, cool. I'm not lucky with hornwort. How can I increase the chance hornwort will remain green all over and little to no needles drop? If it's traumatized and loses all needles, will it die or will it recover, in your experience?
Until the stem and root system starts melting, I never write a plant off. And I've even had stem plants melt down to the root system and then start growing back because the roots were fine. So I almost never write a plant off unless it's literally turned to mush. And if it is starting to rot, just keep trimming the rotting part off at the next node. So every node is where the leaves come out on a stem plant, essentially. So just trim it down to the previous node and get rid of the part that's melting off. I'm not sure why that's happening. Plants are not... Plants can be finicky. That's not particularly a finicky plant in my experience. I have lots of questions. So I'd reach out to our support team, but like what are your water parameters right now? How much nitrate or phosphate are in the water? If you don't have test kits for phosphate, that's something you could easily purchase so you can check. What are you using for fertilizers? You know, do you have any CO2 supplement going in? Do you have any idea what the CO2 level is? What light are you using? What's the intensity of your light? I'm not expecting anybody to have a par meter. That's not a normal thing for somebody to have. But like, what light are you using? Is there a par chart for that light that manufacturer has? Can you kind of deduce what kind of par you might be having there? And then we can kind of figure out what's going on. If you're using any salt at all in the water, like aquarium salt, that'll kill plants fast. So make sure you're not doing that. Also, I find plants often do kind of the best in slightly cooler water as opposed to warmer water. So if you're like 80 or above, that might do something, but I doubt it. But yeah, email us. We'll figure it out.
Yeah. Okay. For a school project, they say. What do you think? Not that, you know, I'm not suspicious of it. It's just they do say that. What do you think are the most popular themes and styles for aquariums today?
I think what is making an absolutely massive, I don't want to say resurgence, but I guess kind of, is nature aquariums. And nature aquariums, I believe that term was coined by the late Takashi Amano, and aquascaping. So we're talking about people like Oliver Knott, George Farmer. There's tons of aquascapers out there. Those are just the two that come to mind right now. Takashi Amano, that just take these beautiful, simplistic, rimless aquariums and go crazy, making these tiny, gorgeous, kind of miniature landscapes within the aquarium using various types of stone, natural elements, and aquatic plants. And it's just breathtaking. But that is really becoming popular. There's studios opening up, like ADA studios and stuff, opening up all over the world. Doesn't matter what country you're in at this point. Like, that is the freshwater aquarium that everybody's kind of really gravitating towards right now. So I think that's extremely popular. And reef aquariums have remained and continue to grow in popularity. They've been growing in popularity since the release of Finding Nemo back in whatever it was, 2000 and something. Maybe 2000 even, I don't know.
Yeah, something like that.
No. It must have been 2004, 3, 4, 5, something like that. Anyways, ever since then, they've just been getting more and more popular, and it's crazy. Like, people love corals, they love saltwater fish, and it's a very rewarding hobby when you get into it, and it's a very expensive hobby, unfortunately, for many people. But it is super rewarding, and it takes patience, and there's a lot to it, but it's a lot of fun. But I would say that and nature aquariums are massive right now. And I do also believe that just like your basic home aquarium for teaching, you know, your kids about aquatic life and all that is still quite popular too. Like, starter kits have not slowed down in sales either. Man. But yeah, nature aquariums and reef aquariums are through the roof popular.
Cool. Next up, I used hot glue to join 2 coconut shells together to be in the aquarium.
Okay.
What are the chances it will affect my freshwater fish? For example, neon tetras. If you use peroxide to use it on algae, is it bad? Hot glue and peroxide.
I have no idea if hot glue is aquarium safe. I've never used it. I've only ever used aquarium safe silicone. And that's what I would highly recommend using. So I don't know about hot glue. Can't tell you. I've never looked into it because I've never used it. Never had to. Peroxide is safe for a time in small amounts. So the thing about peroxide is it's not like super stable. Peroxide eventually just becomes water, basically. Like the third oxygen atom or molecule eventually just goes away and you have water at the end of it. So yeah.
Now, you don't use a glue gun, you use hot glue, but do you, like, it's silicone or something? What do you usually use when you have to...
Aquarium silicone.
Aquarium silicone.
Like what you'd use to build an aquarium. You can get it in small tubes, like we sell it.
Right. So if you're worried about using hot glue, if you're worried it might not be fish safe, better to skip it all together. Just use aquarium silicone. And then you're in the
I think
clear.
the reason people like to use things like hot glue is because it's faster, right? You put it on, you stick it together, it cools off, and it's bonded. With silicone, you got to wait like 24 hours for it to cure, and then you can put it in.
And hot glue people
But
have
it's
around the
safer.
house generally anyway, a lot of the time, so it's more accessible.
Yeah, I mean, I do have a hot glue gun, but I use it for making like felt toys and stuff for like the kids.
For the kids.
Like arts and crafts.
You do arts and crafts too for you.
I like arts and crafts.
Who doesn't like arts and crafts?
But peroxide, like people use peroxide all the time for algae control. You just got to be very careful with its application. Do a lot of research. I'm not going to try to explain it all right now. It would be a conversation. Maybe one day in a video I'll do it. But
yeah,
you got to be very careful with it because you can add too much peroxide by accident, and it doesn't take a lot. Like it really doesn't take a lot, and you could wipe out all your fish.
Oof.
Yes.
No.
Dangerous.
Yeah. Okay, I have a new Neo Shrimp tank with some Endler's Juvenile 144As. I don't know what that means. Do you know what that means?
L144As?
L, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's
a type?
It's a pleco.
Okay. Very catchy name. And a vampire shrimp. My plants are all new and now curling on the edges or spiraling. My TDS is around 400. What's with my plants?
I don't know. Send me a picture.
Yeah.
Send me a picture and all the parameters of your aquarium. Temperature, everything you're dosing, all of it.
Yeah. Okay, any tips on keeping pom-pom crabs?
Pom-pom crabs? Not really. I mean, they're pretty straightforward. They're a lot of fun. I like them. Yeah, just
go for it.
Stick them in your tank. Make sure you don't have anything big that's going to try to eat it. There are lots of different wrasses and other fish that are going to, might take a swipe at them. But usually when you have sessile invertebrates, you're not really keeping much of anything that's going to take on plant or crabs and other inverts like shrimp because you're keeping ornamental shrimp and inverts. So yeah, as long as there's nothing in there fish-wise or invertebrate-wise even, like mantis shrimp or octopus, then you should be good.
Give it a shot.
Yeah.
Have there, as far as you know, have there been any cases of people suffering ill health effects from injecting CO2, into an aquarium?
People? Like, your fish will die long before that CO2 is going to affect you at all. No, I don't think so. Like,
sweet.
I really can't think of an instance. Like, think about, even if you took your bottle of, which is usually a small, like 1 liter or 2 liter bottle of compressed CO2, even if you open that up in the room you're in, there's so much air in that room that I would be surprised if that compressed CO2 would even be able to put enough CO2 into the air where you currently are to affect how you feel. I would be curious if that's even possible. But no, you shouldn't feel any effect. CO2, you breathe CO2 out. It would be like holding a paper bag over your head or breathing into one when you're hyperventilating, right? You breathe in CO2 every time that happens. So no, you should be fine.
Cool. I have neons for about a month now. Does it mean shrimps are okay to be added in the tank?
You have neons for about a month?
Yes.
I would assume it's safe for shrimp at that point. Neons are pretty, pretty sensitive, and if they're healthy and doing well and showing good results, as long as your water parameters are appropriate for the shrimp as well, then I see no reason why not to add some now.
Excellent. What kind of canister filter would you recommend for a 40-gallon community/planted tank?
Eheim!
Didn't see it coming.
Don't be surprised.
I never see it coming. It always comes out of left field.
No, I really do like Eheim a lot. It's been a great, like for me, Eheim has been a stellar brand. I've never had an issue with an Eheim filter. That wasn't expected anyways. Like after 3 or 4 years of using a filter, if the impeller starts to wear down a bit and you need to replace it, that's like your car and your ball joint going eventually. Like it's gonna happen. Your car's not going to last forever.
Yeah.
Neither is a filter, but the nice thing is they make parts for everything, and those parts last a really long time if you take care of them. So, yeah, big fan of Eheim. I like the Pro 4 Plus canisters that they've got right now. For 40-gallon, you could do, I don't know what their new designations are off the top of my head. I know they used to go by their like 22, 13, 22, 15, 22, 17 for the Classic Series, and now they go like 150, 200, right. 600 or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think it is a 2136 or 34. 2034. I don't know. 2074. I don't remember the number. The middle one.
We've in our last video, you talk about Eheim and the canister filter and the components of it, generally kind of how it works. So if you do want to learn more about it, go check out our latest video, and he talks about that using it on his planted tank. You can definitely check it out there, learn a little bit more about it, because it is This guy doesn't stop talking about it.
No, and I think we even have a video on the Pro 4 series.
We do have a video on the Pro 4 series. That's correct. We do. I will look for that.
So if you want to take a look at it. The reason, like, I love the Classic series, and I'd recommend the Classic canister to anyone. For a 40-gallon, you could do either the 2215 or 2217, and they'd both be awesome. Which I think is either the two highest models, basically. But with the Pro 4 series, they've got baskets inside of them. They've got a priming button. Both of the hoses attach at the top in the same place with a block valve style connector. So it's got extra features on it that make it easier to work with when you're doing maintenance and stuff like that. And they're a little bit larger. But if you don't mind doing things a little bit more on the manual side, then the Classic series are so simple, straightforward, and easy to use. Like, sure, it might take a bit longer because you got to dump the media out one section at a time, and there's no baskets to help you remove it. But honestly, they are bulletproof. I've got one that's like 20 years old.
Nice.
There's no other filter that's lasted that long for me, except for maybe an Aqua Clear hang-on. So.
Cool. I've linked the Planet Tank episode 2 there for you again, so check that out. I've also linked our video on how to set up the Eheim Pro 4 canister, so you can kind of get an idea of what's the deal there. You can kind of get an idea of its build and how to make it and all that stuff. So check that out if you are curious. Let's move on to the next question. Where is that? I lost it.
The next question.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I have 7 goldfish. Some people say I should use flakes. Some say pellets. What do you think?
I am a fan of sinking foods for goldfish. So you could do pellets or flakes, really. I think pellets are a little bit better, personally, because they are a little bit less wasteful than flakes. Flakes tend to either have a lot of powder that grinds off of them, or because they're small and as soon as they hit water, they get very flimsy. They can get stuck in the filter or in the gravel, although goldfish will often sift the gravel for whatever's down there anyways. But they're a little bit more wasteful. So I tend to gravitate towards pellets where I can. And sinking pellets for goldfish, because goldfish are naturally bottom feeders. When they eat off the surface, sometimes they get more air than they'd like, and it's, just avoid that altogether. Just feed them on the bottom where they want to be. So sinking goldfish pellets.
What fish is compatible with a betta fish in a 10-gallon?
Not a ton of stuff, technically. I generally recommend aiming for bottom feeders and fish that are just quicker and going to stay out of their way. So you could try something like zebra danios. They're fast and they should be able to get away. Just don't get any long fin anything. So I know zebra danios come in different morphs and stuff, and I'm sure you can get long fin zebra danios, but don't get the long fin anything. It slows the fish down, and the beta may just take it as, another fancy fish trying to steal its thunder, and they don't like that.
In that same vein, someone asked, I have a 36-gallon tank. Can I keep more than one male betta?
No, don't do it. It's a bad idea. If they find each other, they won't leave each other alone. It's only a matter of time. You could try, but I really don't recommend it. Male betas are solitary critters. They do so much better on their own, and introducing another male is just bad news bears for one of the two of them.
Cool. Mark's Aquatic.
Woo.
Thank you so much, by the way, Mark's Aquatic.
Yay!
Brian and Thomas, love your vids and Q&A. Thank you. Thank you. No, seriously, thank you guys. I know we say it a lot, probably too much, but this is one of the joys of our work with Big L's, is getting to actually, interact with you guys in real time on these Q&As, and then all the videos we do, the reaction we get from people, it makes it not work. It's not work.
No, and we're well aware that without you guys, we don't have a thing anymore. Like, we're very humbled that you guys want to come here and hang out with us and chat fish and learn from my experience over the years. And, I love it. I'm so glad that I get to, and that we get to kind of like just help you guys enjoy the hobby more. That's all we want. Yeah, it's a pleasure for us. So thank you, Mark's Aquatics, for that. That is very very nice of you. Just to give you guys an update, we have about 20 minutes left in this thing, more or less, and just a ton of questions. And we do go sequentially, so there is a good chance we won't get to everything today. We rarely do. But if you did have a question that you needed answered urgently, feel free to use that super chat function, and we'll pop it to the front of the line. So, Mark's Aquatics, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Next up in our
sequential list of questions. Do you guys have any advice for moving tanks? I think we might have answered this last week, actually. I've got a 10-gallon and a 40-gallon I'm moving in a few months. A Star Wars tank, no less.
Nice. I'd like to see that. Send it. Send it in. So
these are not the tanks you're looking for.
Oh, man. We did talk about it, I think, last week. I went pretty in depth, I think, so you could go back and try to find that, but that's going to be tough. So I'm going to break it down for you a little bit more quickly than I did in the last one. So the key thing when you're moving tanks is to do it as quickly as you can while doing it properly. So number one, save as much water from those tanks as you can so that you can add it back to the tanks when you move. I highly recommend moving the tanks on their own day if you can, so that you can focus on getting them taken down, moved over, and set back up immediately. If you try to do it on the same day you're moving everything else, you probably won't have enough time because it takes a long time to do it. Yeah, save as much water as you can. Put the fish into the buckets with the water. Get battery-operated air pumps if you're going to be going longer than half an hour, 45 minutes. So that you can oxygenate the water for them, keep it moving. Don't clean out the filter or anything like that. And yeah, that's basically it. You just gotta start and finish the same day, get it done, do it slow and safe, while also doing it as quickly as possible so that you're not, keeping them out of a tank for too long.
Cool. And in case there was anything you kind of glazed over, if you want to go check out our last Q&A, I did link that where he does talk about that. I didn't link the time because I'm not sure.
I don't know when.
I'm not sure when it would have been, but go check it out anyway if you haven't seen our Q&A. We have a backlog of Q&As you can go watch, so definitely go check that out if you want more information on that or anything else.
We did talk about maybe doing a video on it.
Yeah,
we get that question often. We just need a tank to physically move, so
yeah.
We'll move a tank from my house to Brian's house at some point.
I think so. Yeah, that's in the plans. Okay, next up, love the glasses. Thank you.
Yay.
I'm not sure I like them.
You're handsome.
I'm a contacts kind of guy. I've been wearing contacts since like grade 9. You know what I mean?
I love glasses. Here, Brian.
I feel better suddenly.
I can't see your screen now because these are polarized. Oh, there we go.
Let's switch.
Oh.
Let's switch.
Here, give it a shot.
Yeah, why not? You give that a shot. Good luck.
Oh, you are blind, buddy. Oh my, that's not helping my nausea.
I'm gonna try and read like this. No, I can't do it.
I'm
can't be
telling
done.
you.
Oh, that's pretty funky how that works. Okay, can clownfish be okay with just the right amount of aquarium salt? Just
clownfish?
the right amount. Yes.
No, you can't use aquarium salt. It's the wrong kind of salt. It's not the same stuff. You have to use synthetic marine salt.
Wait, so what's aquarium salt? I don't know. I'm not an aquarium. What's aquarium salt that is not meant for salt?
I think it's, honestly, I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think it's either magnesium salt, like magnesium base specifically. I don't know. But what I do know is that it is not at all chemically the same as what you get with synthetic marine salt.
There you go, buddy.
Thank you.
Okay, well, it's confusing to me as a non-aquarist hearing aquarium salt and going, no, you can't put them in with aquarium salt. It's marine salt.
Okay, so the idea with aquarium salt is it's a salt that's designed not to emulate marine environments, but specifically to be used medicinally. You can't even really make brackish tanks with aquarium salt. You want to use synthetic marine salt. Instant Ocean is like probably the least expensive. It comes in all kinds of different box sizes. Another really good one that I would probably recommend over that even is Seachem. What's it called? Vibrancy. Really great salt, and I'm pretty sure you can get that in smaller boxes too. But that's what you want to use. It's not really expensive stuff, but aquarium salt is the wrong stuff to use.
Okay, this is a pretty big question, so maybe you can kind of give a brief overview if possible, or links to a video that I don't remember that we made.
Sure.
How do you set up a sump system?
Oh, well, you get a tank. You either get a hang-on overflow system, or you get a tank that's drilled already, or drill the tank yourself and then install an overflow weir. And then you put the sump underneath, and then you plumb the two together with either soft tubing or hard plumbing, and you put a pump in the sump, and you run that tubing up to the tank on top, and you fill the sump with water, you fill the tank with water, and then you plug the pump in, and then the pump pumps water from the lower reservoir up into the main display tank. That tank above has a hole that once the water fills to a certain point in that tank, it's constantly pouring out of that hole. So you've got a tank, you're constantly filling it up with water, it's constantly draining back down to the sump. And that's it. The evaporation at that point is going to happen at the sump because the water in the tank keeps getting refilled by that pump that's in the sump. So when you lose water from evaporation, it's actually in the pump section of the sump where you're going to end up losing it, which is why we have auto top-offs to keep that topped up for you so you don't have to do it all the time yourself manually. You can fill up a reservoir with fresh water every once in a while and not have to do it all the time by yourself. But yeah, the Mega Build has a sump on it. I show how to swap a sump on a video. We do a trigger system sump swap.
Right, we did that.
So there's a few instances I think that we've got where I've played around with a sump if you need to see it.
Cool. Next question. What can I do with all of my Plata Fry? It's a hodgepodge of colors and flavors. It's about 100 fry.
Whatever you like.
If you don't want them, what do you do? What can you do with them instead of,
Okay, well, there's lots of things you could do. So if you could sell them as feeder fish. Not everybody wants to do that though because they often get attached to the fish that they have. But so one thing you can do is sell them as feeder fish. Another thing you can do is find out if there's a store that will take assorted live bear fry. Some people don't care if they're buying a specific like color trait. They just see a tank full of fish and they pick up the prettiest one to them. So yeah, there are still places who may want to purchase it from you. You can find out on a local classifieds like Craigslist or Kijiji or whatever you've got. See if they're Facebook even. If there's Facebook is tougher. I think they crack down on animal ads. But see if there's anybody locally to you who's interested in some locally raised fry from Platies. Yeah, you can sell them. You can find somebody to eat them. Not somebody, like somebody's fish.
Okay, I was going to say.
That was very...
That was like... Well,
that was convoluted.
Yeah.
Anyways, yes.
Okay, fantastic. I'm just linking...
Don't flush him down the toilet.
Yeah, please avoid that. Sump swap. Okay, so I'm just linking that sump video where Thomas swapped sumps. So you guys can check that out if you need more information there. What's our next question? It is how to raise the pH in my shrimp tank.
With a pH buffer.
Okay. Excellent. Do adult angelfish bully younger angelfish?
Do adult angelfish bully younger angelfish? Definitely can. Angelfish, when they reach sexual maturity, especially if they pair off or start becoming pairs and then breeding, will often get very territorial and you can end up with aggression amongst the angels. We had a 90-gallon with, I think it was 5 or 6 angels in it, 2 paired off and started laying eggs. All the other angelfish were like basically pushed into the corners of a 90-gallon tank. 2 angels pushed everybody else just completely out of the way. So, yeah, it's possible. Why, and again, you're based on your experience, why do my shrimps keep dying in a planted aquarium with lots of bubbles? Are bubbles imperative to a shrimp survival? Or is that just a fun little detail they've decided to include? I don't know what bubbles you're talking about. Bubbles is vague. Do you mean the plants are purling a lot? Like you've got a lot of tiny, tiny little bubbles developing on the plant leaves and just flowing up to the surface of the tank? Are you running an air pump? Do the shrimps have bubbles on their body? Need more info. Send me a picture. Cool. This one also might be, you might need to send a photo. 2 of my black phantom tetrads have developed black spots on their body. 0 ammonia and nitrates, 0.20 ppm nitrates, and then a little slanty face. I need to see it. I don't know. Email us in. Yeah, okay. I don't know. Cool. What's a good male to female ratio for guppies in a 20? Is there a male to female ratio for guppies in a 20? Is there a golden ratio? In general with guppies, like if I'm going to keep guppies in a tank, I usually do 1 male to 3 females. That way the females have a chance to not be getting constantly harassed by a guppy. So if you have 2 guppies, 6 females. If you have 3 male guppies and you'd want 9 females, that's kind of how I like to do it. I don't know what guppy breeders specifically prefer, but that's what I like. And again, the reason is because then there are enough females that males probably won't be honing in on one female all the time and then get harassed constantly. And you will end up with lots of babies if you keep males and females together. It will happen. It's inevitable. Okay, what large fish can I put with an Oscar besides pleco or convicts? Thanks, love the show. Large fish with an Oscar besides plecos or convicts. Another Oscar is a good option. You can try a multitude of other large freshwater cichlids. It's just a balance of aggression, and it can often go one way or the other. I mean, a lot of people who keep Oscars like to keep them by themselves or with other Oscars because you are the least likely to get issues with aggression that way. If you like the idea of catfish and just don't like plecos, there are lots of large catfish you could keep. Thai sun cats get pretty big and they stay to themselves. Hoplo catfish would probably be fine with an Oscar. They're going to keep to themselves. Raphael cats should keep to themselves. The Oscar is not really going to bother them on the bottom of the tank or anything. But yeah, that's what I would say.
Is it possible to raise healthy killifish from eggs sold on the internet?
No idea. I've never tried it. I've heard of some people having success. I've heard of other people having zero success. So I don't know. The thing with killifish eggs is, although they can be shipped, like there are species of killifish where you can get them dried, the eggs have a very specific shelf life, if I'm not mistaken, and it's not like a super long window. It might be a few weeks or something like that. But by the time they're laid, they're dried, they're stored, you place the order, they're shipped. It takes a week, 2 weeks to get to you. How much time do you have left to actually raise them, and what's your success rate going to be? I have no idea. And I don't know if it's exactly 3 weeks. I'm just like, I'm going from memory, but I know there are places where you can buy like tadpole shrimp eggs and raise those, but they have like an infinitely longer shelf life. They just last way, way longer because these are little shrimps that live in the desert, and the eggs basically have to sit in the dirt for like a year, and then it rains seasonally. They come alive, they breed, they lay more eggs, they get trapped in the dirt for another year. I don't know if the killifish eggs work like that. So, you can try it, but I don't know. I don't know how much success you'll have.
Give it a shot.
I've heard mixed reviews, therefore, but I don't know how much of those mixed reviews are human error.
Yeah.
Right?
I've had my 75-gallon saltwater tank cycling for about 6 weeks. All tests come back good. I've been using ghost feeding for the cycle. Should I add a cleanup crew first or a pair of clowns?
If you have algae, you can add the cleanup crew. If you add a pair of clowns, you'll eventually get algae and then add the cleanup crew. So it depends. A lot of the time, what I do is I let the tank run until I start getting green algae. Once I start having green algae, I put in the cleanup crew. Once that's under control, I add fish. That's how I generally do it. However, everybody's got kind of like a slightly different method. So if you don't have anything for the cleanup crew to survive on, just keep in mind you have to feed them. So you can put off the cleanup crew until there's something to clean. If there is something to clean, go crazy. Cleanup crew first, then clownfish.
Awesome. Red Raven says, thank you for answering my question. The large fish with an Oscar. So what large fish can I put with an Oscar besides a pleco or convict? That was his question.
My pleasure.
Red Raven, yeah. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah,
thanks for the question. We really appreciate it. So, Red Raven, you rock.
Yay!
Okay, next up. Can I add a betta to my cichlid 55-gallon tank? My daughter has one in a bowl. I want to change it to the big tank.
A beta to a cichlid
55-gallon.
55-gallon.
Indeed.
I would say probably not. Cichlids in general can be territorial. Betas are very flashy, slow-moving, and easy targets. So I wouldn't do it. It sounds like a bad time for the beta, unfortunately.
Gonna have a bad time. Okay, next up, I know you haven't kept Discus in the past, you have a lot of experience with them, but someone asked, my Discus has lost its color, but it's in with 6 angelfish. Does it need to have other Discus in the tank?
Okay, in my understanding of Discus is they are a schooling fish, and they feel most comfortable when in a school of other Discus. It could be getting picked on by the angels, which are territorial in their own right. And you've got 2 cichlids in the tank together. You've got angels and Discus. So if you've got one Discus and a bunch of angels, there's a really good chance that Discus is just going to get soloed out and not be, not be able to swim around comfortably because it's probably getting picked on or something like that. So long story short, yes, I would either pick angels or Discus, and then just go down that road instead of trying to do both. Yeah, either way, I would definitely at least try a couple more Discus to make that Discus comfortable. But if it is aggression, there's no point in going that direction because the angels are just going to continue to fight with the Discus, who, in my experience, are more peaceful than angels. I know I don't have a lot of experience, but
in your experience that you do have.
In my limited experience.
180-gallon mixed reef here.
Yay!
What light do you use to enhance your coral coloration during the day? More blue?
Okay, so that's I'm going to interpret this question because it's not very specific. I'm going to interpret this question as you want your corals to develop more coloration than they currently have, rather than you asking what accent light will make their current color look better. So here's the thing. Coral pigmentation often comes down to a couple of factors, especially if we're talking about SPS. But usually what affects the coral coloration the most is the amount of UV light that's in the tank, so blue end of the spectrum basically, so actinic light, and along with how much nutrient is in the water, usually in the form of phosphates and nitrates, because that will change the amount of zooxanthellae in the coral tissue. Zooxanthellae is brown, and if a coral has a lot of zooxanthellae, it adds a brown base behind the color, and the coloration gets muddied with brown. So browning of corals is often just having high nutrients and a ton of zooxanthellae in the coral tissue. So what you can do, number one, is check your phosphates and nitrates and try to keep them within acceptable parameters. For phosphates, I think that's usually, oh man, I hope I don't mess this up. You're gonna have to double check this, but I think it's 0.04 is an acceptable, to like 0.05 is kind of where you want your phosphates. And then nitrates, 20 or less. 20, a lot of people consider high. I usually aim for around 10. But phosphates is probably going to be the bigger issue of the two. So that will help prevent the corals from being brown. On top of that, adding a lot of actinic light and a wide array of blue spectrum, so anything from somewhere around 350 nanometers up to 470 nanometers and everything in between. So like 440, 450, 470, 380, you know, all kinds of spectrums in that range is really going to help with pigmentation and your ability to actually see that coral fluorescence and pigmentation, because it excites those, you know, phosphors in the, are they even phosphors? I don't know. My brain's not working 100%. Remember, I'm not feeling 100% today. I'm a little nauseous still. So
he's doing his best, guys.
I'm trying here. So I'm like losing myself in my brain. But it'll help you see those colors by exciting the pigments and allowing them to radiate and respond with that fluorescence. So yeah, yes, more blue light is often what you need in order to see color. Just different types of blue light. There are some rare cases of pigments that fluoresce at higher wavelengths, like 600 nanometers, like up in the red, but it's very few and far between. It's usually, in my experience, in algae, like red pigment in algae. Anyways. Okay,
cool. Turtle Mega, $2.
Yay!
Thank you so much. That's amazing.
Yes.
We really appreciate it. What should I feed my flower horn? 15 years old equals 15. Good idea?
What?
Yeah, I'm not sure what that last part.
What should you feed your flower horn? So for flower horn,
oh, yeah, okay. He says, I meant 15-year-old equals 15 tanks. Are you 15 years old? Is that what you're saying? You might be 15 years old and you have 15 tanks. I think that's a good idea. As long as
I'm gonna just go with that. Yeah, that would be. If that's true, that's amazing.
But let's stick with the question.
I was very similar at that age. I was 16 when I got my job with Big Al's, and I filled my house with tanks, much to my parents' chagrin. Whatever. Deal with it. Look at me now, Ma. Anyways, there's a food that I know a lot of people really like for their flower horns, and it's called something sumo. I can't remember. I don't know if
Google
Josh is on there, but flower horn sumo. So I bet you one of our followers is gonna know what it is.
Hey, maybe if you guys ever use that, let
something
us know.
Sumo, flower horn sumo food. Anyways, Grand Sumo.
Grand
Booyah!
Sumo.
So Grand Sumo, I've heard lots of great things about. I believe Tropical, which is a Polish brand of food, has a flower horn food. I'm pretty sure they have one specifically for flower horns as well. And I'm going to tell you right now, I've never used it, but I've used a bunch of tropical foods at this point, and they are awesome. I actually really like them. I don't usually get all worked up about stuff, but like food, I usually just like get the right food and that's it. But I've been really liking tropical food, so I would give it a shot. I would try maybe Grand Sumo and also this tropical food. Also Hikari. Hikari's known for great cichlid food, so you could try that too.
Awesome. Turtle Mega, thank you. Another $1. Thank you so much, man. Really appreciate that, dude. Everything helps. Really,
you guys
really,
make
really
me happy.
Yeah. Also, we have a question here from Jesse McCabe, who asked,
Hey, Jesse!
did you win your roll up the rim?
Hold on.
By the way, Tim Hortons, if you're seeing this, pay us.
Gimme.
Gimme. All the roll-ups.
Of course not.
Free donuts is what you should give us.
I'm sure you can't see this, but it says please play again. I don't win very often, and when I do...
Well, I understand not a lot of people win. Like, more and more people are getting sort of agitated because there's not as much winning
ever since
going on.
they took over... Who bought out Tim Hortons?
Some big conglomerate.
Burger King?
Yeah, Burger King, the same people that own Burger King.
Yeah, it's just it hasn't been the same.
Yeah.
I've won this year out of like probably 100 coffees, like maybe 3 coffees, 4 coffees, and like 2 donuts. Like, it's been garbage. Tim's, ball's in your court. Fix it.
Yeah, get on that. Okay, we'll do a couple more questions. We're just about out of time, guys. We'll do a few more questions, and then we're going to have to sign off here. Before we do those last questions, again, remember, 100,000 subscribers is our goal, and we need all the help we can get from you guys. So anything you can do to help share our channel around, like I said, just supremely helpful.
Yes.
So please do that. Anything else? Like I said, React video coming out this week. Keep your eyes out for that. That's it. I got nothing else, really.
Like the video. Like this video for us.
Like all our videos would be very good.
All that too. Like and share and spread the love and invite your friends to come sit and hang out with us and be nerdy about fish.
Yeah. In the end, just make this guy famous. Let's make this guy famous.
Oh,
Let's get
hey, funny story, real quick. I was in, and I wonder if he's even watching. I was at Costco the other day, and somebody picked me up in the parking lot, and he wanted to say hi, and it was a lot of fun. I don't mind when people come up and say hi to me.
It's a lot of fun, yeah. When it happens, it kind of makes it feel it's like kind of a surreal experience.
It's weird.
Yeah,
it's
cool.
only happened like once before in public. If I dare step into a Big Al's, that I will get inundated with with hellos and questions, which is totally cool. But yeah, no, that was fun. Anyways, what's the next question,
Next
Brian?
question. Well, Mark's Aquatic has given us another super chat here. So thanks again, Mark's Aquatic.
Thank you.
When do you make a video about moving out of state? Or out of province, I guess, in our case.
Oh, you know, we didn't really videotape any of it, so we're probably not going to make a video about it unless I move again. Unless you just want to know how I did it, and it's not fun. I literally sold and found new homes for everything that wasn't a dog or a cat. Mm-hmm. And I had to start fresh. But see, here's the thing about that. It only gave me more opportunities for new builds and show you guys new things here. So when I came here, instead of being like, here's me setting up my old tank again that you already know, here's a brand new thing that we haven't done before. So I'm trying not to repeat myself and use it more. It was a sad time for me to sell off everything, but I'm using it as a way to, you know, explore new things and have more fun and bring you guys along for that ride. We got some fun stuff coming. There's we already have one tank down there that I'm getting pretty anxious to set up. And once we're done this high-tech build, we're getting right to it. And then we've got another one that I think you guys are really going to love. These 2 tanks that are coming after the high-tech planet tank are probably the 2 most requested tanks you guys have ever sent me.
Yeah, so there you go. It's going to be huge. It's going to be awesome. We're really excited.
Should be good.
Oh, yeah, we're excited. Okay, next up, another super chat from Fat Rabbit.
Yeah!
Thank you so much, Fat Rabbit. This is the way to keep us around longer. Really, when we're about to end it, just everyone starts sending us super chats.
Super chats? Yeah, we're 5 minutes over. Who cares? Keep going.
What can I do to ensure my...
Obligation.
Yeah. What can I do to ensure my 12-inch pleco is getting his algae wafers? Since he's nocturnal, I'm not sure if the goldfish are getting it or the filters.
Turn the light off and cover the tank and then throw it in. I'm serious. And then throw it in and check after like 15 minutes. See if the algae wafer's in a goldfish mouth, if it's being punted around by the goldfish, if it's stuck to the filter, or if your pleco came out and just been sucking on it. That's a pretty good way to figure it out. Because if it happens then when you just, you know, have everything covered and turn it off, or get up in the middle of the night and check. Put it on, like, after the lights go out, throw it in, and then just sit back on a chair and just wait and see if he comes out. But yeah, if he's coming out, then I wouldn't worry too much about it. Okay. I mean, plecos can kind of just sit there in the dark for a long time and you not see them. And then like 6 months later, you're like, do I even have a pleco? And then you see his tail sticking out of the rock and you're like, oh, okay. And he's fine. So
cool. Well, thank you so much for that, Fat Rabbit.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, well, a couple more real quick ones. We'll fire them off real fast. Are clownfish able to live in a 20-gallon?
Yes.
We've done a video on that.
Yes.
Yes.
It's a minimum size, and you really want to stick to smaller clownfish species like Percula or Ocellaris. I think skunk clowns stay pretty small. You cannot get things like maroon clowns that get massive. Saddleback clowns get pretty big. What else gets massive? Sea bay clowns get pretty big. Clark eye clowns get pretty big, so you'd have to avoid them. But if you want to just do like Nemo, like Ocellaris or Perks, then yeah, that's 20 gallons is great. It's a very easy tank to set up if you're not keeping any corals or anything for them or anemones. It's super straightforward, and we have a video on that, Brian. I'm sure we'll link to you, and follow along, and you'll do just fine. It's not any harder than a freshwater tank. You just learn how to mix salt into a bucket of fresh water before you do a water change and when you set the tank up. And I show you how to do that, and it's easy.
Easy peasy. Okay, I got a small tank, 50 liters, and was wondering if there's a small freshwater fish that's effective against algae.
Okay, so guppies eat algae. Mollies eat algae. If you want to get algae off of plant leaves and stuff, autosynclus cats can do well, but you have to also look into the requirements of autosynclus cats because they will need food beyond just keeping algae off of leaves, and they've got their own set of requirements to do well. So yeah, but that's it. You could also do like mystery snails and stuff like that. Yeah,
cool,
easy peasy.
All right, last one, not too tough. Is it okay to keep only male guppies in a 20?
Yeah, totally.
Awesome.
5 or more.
Totally fine.
I think 5 or more is good. If you keep like 4 or less, they kind of beat the snot out of each other a bit. But if you keep enough of them, they'll just flash around and be all proud of themselves. And then no females get chased off into the sunset forever and ever and ever. And you don't end up with babies. So if you don't want babies, don't get live bearers if you don't want babies, unless you're going to keep all males or all females. And if you keep all females, here's the problem. If you get them from the store, even if they're in a tank of all females, they could have come from the facility having been with a male, and they will hold on a sperm forever. Not forever, but a long time. So you might end up with babies anyways.
All right. I think that about does it. We got no more super chats keeping us around. We're out of time here. So we run out of race chat, guys. We are out of here. But thank you. As always, we say thank you guys so much for joining us. It was a lot of fun, as it is every Q&A. It's always a lot of fun getting to meet you guys, talk to the people who are here all the time, and answer your questions.
Get nerdy with it. Glub, 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 glub.
That was real nerdy.
Glub, 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 glub. Get nerdy with it. Anyways.
We need to write like a tune, like a little intro tune for our channel.
Can we get in trouble for that? Is that... fair use.
We'll be all right. We'll be all right unless Will Smith, the man himself, is watching.
Fair enough.
Which if he is, call
and
me.
If he is, yeah, Will, love you.
Let's collab, man.
Yeah.
But anyway, no. Really, we should write like a little tune for our channel.
I can do it.
Challenge you guys. Write a song, record it, send it to us, and if it's and we may end up using it.
Yeah.
I'm
just keep it PG.
Now. I'm gonna throw that out there now. Yes, PG, of course. All right.
We could write a song. We both play guitar. We could do it. I think we could do it.
Yeah, we can do it.
He can play guitar well enough.
Yeah, we can do it.
3 chords is all we need, bud.
That's all most songs need, to be honest.
We could probably do it with 1 chord.
Yes. Challenge accepted. All right. But yes, as always, thank you so much, guys. Not much left to say, but if you haven't subscribed, if you're new here, please subscribe because we do these every 2 weeks with a ton of other normal content. So it would be awesome to have you guys around every single time we do this. I got nothing else to say. How about you?
This donut's delicious. Here's the thing, by the way. We would have made more donuts and stuff, but nobody's feeling well at my house, so...
Listen, man.
These aren't nearly as good as our homemade donuts.
That's true.
But they're still so good. If you want a sugary soft pillow in your mouth...
They fill the void.
Yeah, man.
In your soul. And your
I like the jelly-filled kind, too.
Yeah, that's really good. I was going to go for it, but it's kind of messy. I was going to make a fool of myself on camera.
I am shocked they didn't give us a Boston cream. That's like
that's a staple.
Donuts.
Yeah, that's a staple. Yeah, well...
But we got the maple dip.
Yeah, I guess that was the substitute. Anyway, thank you guys so much, and as always...
Keep on tanking with donuts!